Hello and welcome to Mission Nonprofit. I'm your host, Robert Kim, the Public Access Manager for TCTV. Mission Nonprofit features a nonprofit organization from Thurston County each month. It airs on Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. and Sundays at 4:30 p.m. only on TCTV Channel 22. This month we have the United Way of Thurston County, and with me today is Paul Knox. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks, Robert.
Paul is the Executive Director of the United Way of Thurston County. So, Paul, everybody knows of the United Way as really it's probably the biggest charity that you can think of. But so, tell us a little bit about the history of the National United Way.
That sounds good. And one thing I wanted to confirm, of course, charity means lots of things to different people. We essentially raise money and distribute it through a competitive process to many nonprofits throughout the community. And United Way started in the 1880s in Denver, Colorado, and the story is, kind of sounds like a joke, but it was a priest, a rabbi, a reverend, and another community leader all got together, and they realized there were a lot of problems in certain parts of town, probably folks living in shanty towns, like many western or eastern towns at the time. And they wanted to do something about the families, especially the kids and parents in those places. So they got together and said, we got to work together on this. And so they started the first United Way. It wasn't called United Way then. I'm not so sure what it was called. I know that throughout the country it became known as Community Chest. And our furthest back records have us in the mid-20s in Olympia as the Community Chest, raising $5,000 or $10,000 a year and distributing it to organizations, no doubt.
And Community Chest sounds familiar because it's those cards in Monopoly.
That's right. And I didn't get that till I joined. I started this job in January, and I went to a training of new CEOs that United Way of America put on, and I heard about Community Chest. I go, oh, yeah, Community Chest, Monopoly.
Oh, wow. Did you know there's an Olympia version of Monopoly?
I have,
Olympia.
But I've never played it.
They don't have Community Chest.
Do they have United Way?
No,
they
no
should.
United Way.
They probably make you pay to be on it. So.
They did ask for, that's how they funded it. But instead of Community Chest, you have Sunny Days. Sunny Days, and then you have Rainy Days.
Oh, okay.
I think you have the Chance and the Community Chest. So.
Right. But. Well, from that early start as Community Chest in Olympia, the name here and probably many other places became United Good Neighbors.
Oh,
and so that was the name, I think, from the 40s, 50s. But then in the late 50s, the kind of the idea of United Way got branded, which when I think about it, it's a wonderful concept. We're all in it together. It's, do it the United Way.
It's a good name.
Yeah. And now we have this nifty, which if I was smart, I would have worn my T-shirt. We have this Live United campaign that has been organized by United Way of America, so it's a national brand, but Live United, and it's got a lot of great messages along with that about working together, about volunteering, advocating, and giving.
Those are your three slogans that you use.
That's right.
Yeah. Giving, volunteering, and advocacy.
Right. And for me, what that means, and for folks that are involved in United Way, we're about trying to create a giving community, a community that volunteers to help others, and a community that advocates to make positive change for folks. We're of course, focused on helping improve the lives of lower income residents of our county, as well as disadvantaged residents. And we, of course, raise $500 to $600. Well, we raise over $1 million a year each year.
And this is just the local.
Just local, and we raise over 1.2 to 1.4 million a year in the last few years, and we distribute it to a range of nonprofit organizations that are helping folks. So,
yeah, and some of those agencies that you fund have actually been guests on Mission Nonprofit.
I would hope so.
Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I know I saw CYS and GRUB,
right?
Child Care Action Council. They've been on the show. BHR, to list a few. So
yeah, one of the things I'm really proud of is we help fund organizations that are large, like some of the ones you recommended, as well as some of the medium-sized and small ones in our community. You mentioned GRUB. They're of course a rising star, an excellent organization that helps disadvantaged youth and helps promote kind of gardening and positive living by low-income folks. But we also support organizations like Cielo, which is a very small outfit that provides English as a second language for low-income Hispanic and Latino residents. We also fund, organizations that, again, are very small, often a couple staff, that are doing good in our community. We have centered our giving in recent years around 3 areas. One is promoting and increasing access to health. 2 is helping improve education, particularly early childhood education, and working with those who have dropped out of school. And then 3, really income and financial stability. So helping folks that have been that really need a hand up in their economics, in their household economics, and their work.
Do you achieve these goals just simply by which agencies you give money to, or are there other things that United Way of Thurston County does?
There are other things. So and let me say one thing about that first. One of my thoughts is, in the old days, in our parents' era, United Way raised money and just distributed to the same agencies year after year, and they were called United Way agencies. It was kind of a good thing for agencies. It was almost like a good housekeeping seal of approval. But around the country and in more progressive areas, including ours, in the last 4 or 5 years, we've changed the way we were doing it. So we no longer just fund agencies and each year the same agencies. We now have a competitive process. We call it community investment and community impact. And organizations have to kind of make proposals to us, and we're funding programs or projects, not just the agencies, not just core functions. So, and we have this year we have about 35 or 40 community volunteers that'll be reading. They're broken into 3 panels: health, income, and education. And they're reading these proposals and rating them and selecting them. And it's pretty competitive. Of only about half the we get requests for more than twice the amount of money than we are able to give out at each year. But to answer your question, we also are very engaged in mobilizing the community around community needs. So we don't want to just sit back, and raise money and distribute to each other. We want to be part of solving problems. And we do that in a number of ways. One is if some important issues come up in the community, we can jump in and play a hand. So to give you one example, last year the Salvation Army decided to close its shelter for women and children. And they had good reasons to do that based on their male population. It just wasn't safe always. But the executive director preceding me, Pam Toll, she stepped in with some community organizations and churches, including the Family Support Center, and we put up the money to help start a new shelter, which is in existence now. So that's an example of ways we jump in, kind of more in a crisis mode, but in a real important need. However, we also really see ourselves as mobilizers around bigger change. So 3 years ago, we brought together a coalition of organizations to better promote early learning and early childhood education, knowing that kindergarten readiness is something that more and more kids coming into school are not ready for, or so the teacher surveys show. So we started an initiative that focuses attention on that, helps advocate on that issue. We did done a lot of meetings with legislative members in the last few years. We also helped start a whole coalition that's working on a number of early childhood education issues and programs. We also are involved in asset building, and that is promoting savings, financial education, things like free tax preparation that save people money. Asset building is based on the idea, and the important idea, that people can't just spend their way out of poverty, and it's not just about the job. You have to save money to build equity.
We're talking, this is for individuals we're talking
right,
about.
For individuals, exactly. And building equity for most people, kind of moving into the middle class or low middle class, means purchasing a home instead of renting, or it means saving enough and helping your kids get, or yourself get, a higher education or more training. It also means starting a business. So there's a whole coalition now, the Thurston County Asset Building Coalition, that we're part of, that we helped start. A whole lot of organizations are part of that. And again, we don't run it per se. Actually, the Economic Development Council is coordinating it, but we're a major part of it, and we helped get the initial startup money.
We saw the Economic Development Council in this video that you brought with you. So
right.
We're going to take a look at that, and we're going to come back and talk more about the United Way of Thurston County. Stay tuned.
When you talk to a lot of individuals, you find out almost everybody has some sort of interaction. Almost everybody you know has someone who suddenly had to go to, at one time or another, went to a homeless shelter, needed information on food stamps, needed information on getting a job, needed information on what to do with their elderly mother or their child for daycare. My experience in my job is I get a chance to interact with a lot of these agencies that are within the United Way. You know, it's an organization that's very community oriented. They've tried to answer community questions and make sure the dollars are going to the correct place. Costco does a 50 cents on the dollar match, and that's helpful. In the last year, we went to a computer-based, more of a green program. Instead of filling out the forms, employees were filling things out online. At first, we were worried that was going to affect the number of employees that participated, and actually they had increased the last year. We went up to 98%. I'm Jim Heineman. My employees and I give generously during our United Way campaign. That's how I live united.
I had a great time going on Capitol Hill and speaking on behalf of the United Way. I was very honored and pleased to be asked to do that. It was a lot of fun to talk to people about the issues that impact this community. People are open and receptive to hear that message. And when you talk about the community, what I found is that you find yourself relating stories, success stories about the impact the United Way has had upon the quality of life in Thurston County. And so it was an opportunity to share those and relate to them on a professional level, but also on a social level, because we're all residents of this community. We like to get involved in their day of caring. We like to get involved in their activities. We like to get involved in their giving. So we've given the opportunity for everybody to participate in their campaigns. So we like to make sure that they're one of our critical partners.
My name is Michael Cade, and I advocate for the United Way, and that's how I live united.
The Women's Leadership Council is a group of women from the community here in Thurston County, and we all get together with the objective of improve the philanthropy among women, and we have the vision that all women in Thurston County are self-sufficient. We worked in developing grants, and we request grant applications from organizations in the community, and the grants are hopefully to promote financial stability for women and girls. I contribute financially to the United Way, but the thing that really fulfills me is the volunteering portion. Just making sure that I share my time with people that are really needed, and working on these initiatives that are going to make a difference in people's life is what really motivates me and brings me to United Way. So I will invite everybody who is interested or has even thought about volunteering. United Way is a great opportunity for you to really get involved in your community. My name is Veronica Bronkema. I volunteer by chairing the Women's Leadership Council and being part of the board of directors of United Way. This is how I live united.
Welcome back to Mission Nonprofit. That was the campaign video for the United Way of Thurston County. If you're just joining us, United Way of Thurston County is our guest this month, and with me is Paul Knox. So Paul, you used that video to try and raise money from the local businesses, is that right? And can you tell me about that process? And how you guys are doing?
The thing that's unique about United Way, and we've been doing it for a long time, certainly since the 50s, is that we do workplace giving campaigns. So it's actually the businesses, whether you're the janitor or the CEO or the owner, you have an opportunity to give. And we ask business owners and managers to conduct an annual campaign, and they might have a coordinator who's an employee. On the video you saw Costco do it. companies and organizations large and small do it. The county does it. St. Peter's Hospital does it. Lots of small businesses do it as well. And it's a chance for employees to kind of donate and trust that United Way is going to do a good job of using their funds to help improve the lives of low-income folks in our community.
Do some of these businesses match some of those donations?
Yes, some of them match it.
Excellent.
Not the public ones, obviously, but like Intel matches 1-to-1. So every dollar that's raised, Intel is our largest, because half their employees live in Thurston County. They're our largest campaign. But we have the Lucky Eagle Casino is another large one that also provides a corporate donation. So a lot of businesses, they either match or they provide a big donation. The banks in town are very big supporters. Heritage, Olympia Federal Savings, Washington State Employees Credit Union, to name 3.
And the way you put it, the United Way is kind of like a mutual fund for charity. So you guys are entrusted with the money, and you make sure that you do the right things with it and use that money the best that you can as an organization. So.
Exactly, and some of the ways we do that, again, we don't just decide. I told you already about the 3 panels that read and rate and help select all the organizations we fund. We funded last year 56 programs in over 40 agencies. So
and those are all in Thurston County?
All in Thurston County. But it doesn't end there. So we award them the funds, and they of course have often used in our funds to match other funds that they have or that they can get. But then we ask them to provide a 6-month, 12-month, and an 18-month report back, which our volunteer panels also review. So there's a real accountability here. If they promise to serve this many at the food bank or help this many get their GED, our volunteer panels are kind of tracking that. And it's a good accountability thing. I strongly believe that this network of nonprofits, there's so much need out there that the stronger and the better we do, we are successful as a network. United Way, as well as the organizations we fund, the more excellence is critical. It's really a moral mandate, I think, because the need is so much, and we never have enough money to do as much as we'd like to help people advance their lives or people are in trouble. And so we really are very focused on quality. We're also focused on trying to get more collaboration and cooperation amongst the nonprofit sector. And so we are constantly looking for opportunities to link nonprofits up. Nonprofits, of course, naturally do that themselves anyway. I'll give you an example. Community Youth Services now has worked with CMAR, Low-Income Bilingual Health Clinic, and they have a 1-day-a-week health clinic operating at CYS downtown for a lot of the street youth that are downtown. So that's an example where that kind of collaboration comes in.
Yeah, and I think Safe Place may also work with CYS and Bread and Roses.
Right.
Work together.
Yep.
Is Bread and Roses one of your agencies that you?
Yes, they have been, and I'm not 100% sure if they are this year or not, but they definitely have been.
For those nonprofits that are watching out there, if they wanted to receive funds from you guys, they can easily go to your website and they can download now it's too late for this year.
Yeah, this year the proposals were due last month, so they'd have to wait till next year.
So, but next year they could go to your website, which is www.unitedway-thurston.org. Right. And I saw a link on there for, I think it's an agency funding or something like that. And they can go in there and they can download the application, turn the application in, and then they get reviewed and all that stuff.
Right. And we also reserve some of our funds that we raise for emergency purposes. So I mentioned the shelter. We've done other kind of supports like that when the crisis.
Disasters.
Right, natural disasters, exactly. One other thing we're doing that's very exciting is we've worked with a group of women that have been involved in United Way and who got involved after this to create the Women's Leadership Council. And it's another thing we're trying to do because we can't just rely on workplace campaigns anymore. So many of the workplaces have downsized. The brewery closed. Intel downsized a number of years back. So there's more and more small businesses in our community. And while they can do workplace campaigns, it's not always, they're harder to get to often. So we helped organize the Women's Leadership Council. It's a group of women leaders in the community who give $1,000 each. or $500 if you're under 35. And they also have some youth memberships. And the idea is that they're promoting not only giving, but also volunteering and mentoring. And they are running their own small grant program.
Okay,
as
so they
part of
give out
United
the
Way.
grants that they,
Right. And they're trying to focus on organizations that help women and children that might not be funded by our regular campaign.
Oh, that's neat. So they can they have their own initiatives.
Right.
And they can give the money to where they see fit most.
And one unique thing, the way they do it, I think last year they had 60 some members, I think, and they actually had a membership meeting, and the finalists actually got to make final presentations, and then the whole membership voted. So it's a very democratic process. I really thought that was kind of neat.
Now you guys have an annual meeting coming up, and I assume, in May?
Yes,
May 11th?
we have an annual meeting.
So an annual luncheon?
Yeah, it's an annual luncheon. It's mostly attended by board and staff,
Mm-hmm.
although it's open to anyone. Yeah, we're not a membership organization, so it's
Okay.
not that kind of annual
Not that
meeting.
kind of
All
annual meeting,
nonprofits
gotcha.
have to have an annual meeting
Right.
once a year. So
Okay.
it is when we elect our new officers and
That is
nominate and
the
elect
time
our
you do that?
right, and we
Okay.
nominate and elect our new members as
And that's
well.
at the Worthington Center on the 11th, is that?
No, actually, okay, so then there's confusion. That's a different meeting. So
Okay.
let me just say on May 11th, this is something that we encourage anybody in the community to come. On May 11th, we're having our community day, kind of our appreciation luncheon. And it's for all the folks that have been involved in helping donate and work with United Way in the last year. Our volunteers, folks from communities who are from campaigns, workplace campaigns, who are the leaders of that.
Oh, okay.
So it's really a thank you session. We also give out some awards, not only top campaigns, but also we have award to a top community volunteer and top advocate. Things like it. We have the Gladys Burns Award. That's kind of a lifetime achievement award for folks that have done a lot to impact the individuals, low-income individuals' lives in our community.
Okay, and people don't have to be donors to come to
No,
this.
anybody
They
that
can-
wants to come, it costs $35 or so, but you get a nice lunch and you get to be you get to really check out United Way and the work of United Way.
Okay.
So.
I wanted to go back to your website again because there's some things that our viewers may be interested in. And again, that website is www.unitedway-thurston.org. And I noticed on there that you had some free tax preparation sites listed in there. And that was a function that another organization did. I forget the name of them, but you have those listed. And
That was a partnership again. The Volunteer Center really played a big role in that.
we had the
OB Credit
Volunteer
Union.
Center on.
Okay.
Mission Nonprofit. I think
Right.
it was last month.
Okay,
Last month
good.
had the
We
Volunteer
really, I'm looking forward to working with them a lot. They help sponsor our Day of Caring, which is an annual big event in September, where 700 more volunteers go out to nonprofits and put in a day of labor or other things to help those organizations. Let me just say something about the free tax preparation site. One of the things that's happened in our society over the last decade or so is that more and more lower income folks are using paid tax preparers. Now this might be partly because of the complexity of our tax site, of our tax code, but it's also because they're getting wooed by what's called anticipation loans. And you might have seen the ads for these.
You get your money right away.
You get your money right away. Well, guess what? You get your money right away, but they take 10 or 20% of it. I mean, it's a predatory loan, really. And in these days, where the IRS will send your money electronically, within 10 business days,
So it probably wouldn't take
it doesn't
that
make
long
sense,
anyway.
right?
Yeah.
So the idea of free tax preparation and promoting the earned income tax credit has been something United Ways around the state, major ones, have been doing for the last 10 years.
Oh, that's
And it
great.
saves people money.
Yeah.
And it also...
And they need it.
And they need
It's
it.
confusing.
And also it helps
People are
people learn.
overwhelmed.
Yeah,
Right.
it also helps them learn to fish a little, though, learn how to do it themselves. And we're also trying to link it, we have aspirations to link that to financial education and literacy building, help people get banked. A lot of lower income folks are not using conventional banks or credit unions, so we want to link them up to mainstream financial services. So,
I noticed another thing on your website. There was a promotion for the Family Wise initiative, a free prescription discount card for low-income individuals that are having problems with their health bills, I guess.
Right, and that's
medical
another thing
bills.
at United Way. United Ways of Washington have organized where it's something we can hand out to give people a discount, and it's something that's organized at the national level. So.
Okay, so this is a national thing. Now, we didn't go over the difference between the national campaign and the local. United Way of Thurston County is not a chapter. It's different from a chapter.
Yeah, it's really an independent 501c3 nonprofit. We are affiliated with United Ways of Washington, United Ways of America, and it's more like a confederation. We learn from each other. There's some joint marketing, especially at the national level. You've probably seen some of our national ads that they get. They have an affiliation with
There's
the
one
NFL.
on your website.
There's one on our website.
There's a video
exactly.
on your website.
Yeah, and they really help develop the Live United campaign. But we are an independent organization with our own board. We have a board of 27 folks, community leaders from around the county, and we can make our own decisions. However, there is the good thing about United Way of America, there's real standards that they've set, and we've decided collectively that by living up to those standards, of course, we all benefit. And a bad United Way that creates bad headlines through mismanagement or something is not good for any of us. So we do have standards, and they're excellent standards, and they kind of I think help us seek to achieve that excellence I talked about earlier.
Well, it's great that you are local, that you're in Thurston County, that you fund all of these great organizations in Thurston County. So I want you guys to, I really appreciate it. I'm sure everybody out there really appreciates the work that you do. Unfortunately, this is all the time that we have for this episode of Mission Nonprofit. I hope you will tune in next month. And again, Mission Nonprofit airs on Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. and on Sundays at 4:30 p.m. only on TCTV, Channel 22. I'm Robert Cam. We'll see you next time. If you know of a local nonprofit organization that's making a difference in our area, give us a call at 956-3100 extension 103 or send an email to rkam@tctv.net.